"You're not someone I'm proud to walk down the aisle." That was the text I got from my dad just 5 days before my wedding at Lake Como. I had spent $41,000 planning the trip of a lifetime. I paid for everything: flights, luxury villas, private boats, so my entire family could finally be together again. It wasn't just about the wedding. It was about finally being seen. But then, I woke up to a travel alert. Their flights weren't heading to Italy anymore. They had changed their destination to Greece, without me. But that day, I didn't just cry. I made a vow. If you've ever felt like the outsider in your own family, this story might feel a little too familiar. Take a breath, settle in, and if it speaks to you, feel free to like or subscribe. Sometimes the most powerful revenge is choosing peace. I work in asset management, mostly for high net worth clients who like to brag about their portfolios more than their kids. I'm good at what I do, really good. But no matter how many zeros I manage, it never seemed to earn me even a nod from my own father. He used to say, "That's just paper pushing. Your brother actually does things." Yeah, my brother Logan, the golden child, the one who dropped out of college to start 3 different ventures, all of which failed, but somehow he was still the visionary. Meanwhile, I had built a quiet life for myself, my own apartment in Manhattan, a steady income, a partner who genuinely cared about me. We met at a seminar on ethical investing and bonded over a shared love of spreadsheets and crime documentaries. Our relationship was simple, kind, and drama-free, everything my family never was. But deep down, I had this little hope that maybe, just maybe, my family would come around once they saw how happy I was, how real this was. Growing up, I was always the responsible one. I did my homework. I cleaned up after dinner. I didn't talk back. But none of that seemed to matter. Every holiday, every family dinner, it was always Logan. This Logan, that. When he lost his 3rd startup, my parents gave him their retirement savings to try again. When I got promoted to VP, they forgot to call. Still, I held on to this naive idea that they just didn't know how to show love. That maybe if I just kept proving myself one day, they'd look at me and finally say, "We're proud of you." So when my partner proposed and we started planning the wedding, I saw it as more than a ceremony. It was a symbol, my chance to be celebrated by the people who never truly saw me. We originally considered a simple courthouse wedding, maybe a small dinner after. But one night after a long talk and a glass of Chianti, we decided why not go big? Not flashy, just unforgettable. And so the idea of Lake Como was born. I remember the moment I called my parents to tell them. My dad sounded skeptical. Italy. "That's extravagant. Don't you think I'll cover everything?" I told him. "Flights, accommodations, even a private chef. I just want the whole family there." That was the moment his tone shifted. He said, Well, we'll have to talk to Logan and see what his schedule looks like. Not, "We'll be there." Not, "That's generous of you." It always circled back to Logan. But I brushed it off. I started putting everything in place. I booked a 10-bedroom villa overlooking the lake. Charter boats for guests to arrive in style. I even arranged a surprise opera singer to perform during dinner. The whole thing came to over $41,000, but I didn't flinch. This was about love, about healing, about finally being seen. A few weeks before the trip, I sent out the custom invitations and itinerary. Everyone responded with excitement, except my family. My mom gave a vague, "We're trying to coordinate." Logan said he might have a prior commitment. And my dad, he said nothing at all. I kept thinking maybe they're just busy. Maybe they're planning a surprise. Maybe they don't want to ruin anything. But in the back of my mind, the silence felt familiar. It felt like every science fair they skipped, every voicemail they never returned, every time I sat alone in a crowd waiting for them to show up. Still, I clung to hope. I sent reminder texts, updated them on airport transfers, sent photos of the villa. I even arranged matching travel bags as gifts embroidered with their initials. And then, 5 days before the wedding, it happened. That text from my dad. "You're not someone I'm proud to walk down the aisle." I stared at the screen, hoping it was some kind of twisted joke. I blinked, reread it. Nothing changed. My heart sank, not just because of what he said, but because I finally understood something I had been avoiding my whole life. He never planned to come. After that devastating message from my dad, I tried to shake it off. Maybe he was angry in the moment. Maybe he'd call back and apologize. Maybe my mom or Logan would step in and make things right. But days passed with nothing. Then more signs started showing up that this was worse than I thought. I called my mom to ask about travel plans. Her voice was distant, almost rehearsed. "Oh, honey, we're still figuring things out. There's so much going on." I pressed for details. Where exactly were they flying? When were they arriving? She dodged every question. Next, I texted Logan. "Hey, have you booked your flight yet? Just want to make sure we coordinate." His reply was vague. "Yeah." Something came up. "I'll let you know soon." I felt a pit growing in my stomach. A week before the wedding, I called the travel agent to confirm the family's reservations. She hesitated. "Actually, I noticed the tickets for your parents and Logan were changed. They're no longer going to Lake Como." My heart dropped. "Where to, then?" She whispered Athens. "Athens, Greece." The exact opposite direction from my wedding. I couldn't believe it. Why Greece? Why not tell me? Why cancel the one event that was supposed to bring us all together? I confronted my mom over the phone. "Why didn't you tell me you were going to Greece?" There was silence. Then her voice cracked. "Logan always wanted to visit there. It's been a dream of his." I couldn't understand. This wasn't just about a trip. This was a betrayal. I tried to make sense of it. Had I been so blinded by hope that I didn't see the truth? Was I really invisible to them? I thought about every birthday they missed, every school play they skipped, every milestone I celebrated alone. The rejection wasn't just recent. It had been decades in the making. And suddenly, it all hit me like a tidal wave. Why would they fly halfway across Europe while I stood alone in Lake Como? Was it because I wasn't worthy? Was it because I had earned my success honestly, while Logan rode on their coattails? The questions kept swirling, but no answers came. All I knew was the pain, the ache of being discarded by the people who were supposed to love me most. I sat alone in my apartment, the silence deafening. I thought about calling my partner, but the words caught in my throat. How do you explain that your own family chose a vacation over your wedding? How do you explain the heartbreak when the people who should be your biggest fans aren't even in the stands? The more I thought about it, the more angry I got. But beneath the anger was a deeper wound, one of betrayal and abandonment. I realized this wasn't just about a trip. This was a pattern, a story I had been living since childhood. And suddenly, the image of my dad's text haunted me more than ever. "You're not someone I'm proud to walk down the aisle." Those words weren't just a rejection of me. They were a declaration that I didn't belong in their family's story. I questioned everything. Was I ever truly part of that family? Or was I just a placeholder? Someone to keep things polite when convenient, but discarded when inconvenient. As the wedding day drew closer, the loneliness tightened its grip. Friends tried to comfort me, but no words could erase the sting of family rejection. Even my partner's attempts to reassure me couldn't fill the hole left by my parents' absence. I realized that whatever happened at the wedding, I had to prepare myself for disappointment, for heartbreak, and maybe even for the worst. But beneath the despair, a small spark of resolve began to flicker. If they wouldn't choose me, I'd have to choose myself. If they couldn't see my worth, I'd have to show it to them, and to myself. Because this wasn't the end of my story. It was only the beginning. The days leading up to the wedding felt like walking through a storm with no shelter. Every message I sent, every call I made to my family was met with silence or excuses. The cold distance was unbearable, but what crushed me the most was the reality settling in. They had chosen to abandon me. It wasn't just the canceled trip. It was the way my dad, my mother and Logan, the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally, treated me like an afterthought, like someone beneath their notice, like I was the invisible sibling who wasn't worth their time or respect. I tried to hold on to the image of the day ahead, the smiles, the promises, the new beginning with my partner, my person, the one who had stood by me through every hardship. But as the clock ticked closer to the wedding day, a new kind of loneliness took over. On the morning of the ceremony, I woke up to a flood of messages, not from my family, but from friends and colleagues. "I'm so sorry. They're not coming. You deserve better. If you need anything, I'm here. We believe in you. Don't let them dim your light." The support was touching, but it only emphasized what was missing. The people who were supposed to be my family had made their choice. The ceremony itself was surreal. Walking down the aisle, I caught glimpses of familiar faces. Friends I had invited to fill the empty spaces. My partner's family, kind and warm, surrounded me. Julian Sanders, my partner's close friend, gave me a nod of encouragement. Margaret Chin, a mentor who had always believed in me, wiped a tear away. But the seats where my parents and brother should have been sat empty, an undeniable, aching absence. After the ceremony, as guests mingled, my phone buzzed. A message from my dad. "Hope you enjoyed your day. Logan sends his regards. The coldness of those words was like a slap in the face. I stared at the screen, numb. The anger bubbled up hot and fierce, but underneath it all there was a deep, crushing sadness. I wasn't just hurt by their absence. I was humiliated, disrespected, cast aside. Later that evening I sat alone in the villa's terrace, overlooking the shimmering lake. The night was beautiful, but it felt hollow. The echoes of laughter from the distant celebrations couldn't reach me. I thought about everything I had sacrificed. Over $41,000 for a family gathering that never was. For memories that would never be made. I thought about every birthday party. They missed every holiday dinner, they skipped every call they ignored. And I thought about Logan, the golden child who had taken their love without earning it. The realization hit me like a freight train. All those years of trying to be the good kid, the responsible one, the achiever, had meant nothing to them. The weight of rejection pressed down until it was suffocating. I felt utterly alone. My partner found me that night sitting in the dark. Without saying a word, they sat beside me, hand in mine. Sometimes words just aren't enough. But even with their love, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was broken. The next few weeks were a blur of work therapy and late-night talks. I questioned everything, my worth, my family, my future. Had I wasted my life trying to earn their approval? Was I destined to be the outsider forever? And yet amidst the darkness, something began to stir inside me. A small voice that whispered, "You are more than their rejection. You deserve better. You can build your own family." Slowly, that voice grew louder. I started focusing on the people who truly cared, friends who showed up, colleagues who supported me, my partner who never left my side. I found strength in their belief. And then the opportunity came. My firm announced a major promotion, leading a new division focused on sustainable investments. It was the career move I'd been working toward for years. But this time, it wasn't just about success. It was about proving to myself that I could rise on my own terms. I accepted the role with pride. The promotion wasn't just a title, it was a declaration. I was done shrinking for others, done bending to fit a mold that never appreciated me. And as I took on new challenges, my confidence grew. I reconnected with old friends, traveled to new places with my partner, and started creating a life filled with joy and meaning. Months later, I received an unexpected message from my dad. "I heard about your promotion. Congratulations." It was brief, cold, but it meant something. Not forgiveness, not love, but acknowledgement. And that was enough. Because I had learned that family isn't always blood. It's the people who show up, who stand by you, who celebrate your victories. And even when you hit rock bottom, there's always a way up. After months of healing and reflection, I realized that the only way to truly win was not through anger or petty revenge, but by rising above. I wasn't going to waste my energy trying to hurt my family back. That kind of payback wouldn't heal me. Instead, I set my sights on something far more powerful, reclaiming my dignity and proving that I didn't need their approval to succeed. First, I decided to double down on my career. The promotion was just the beginning. I enrolled in advanced leadership courses, networked relentlessly, and took on high-stakes projects that pushed me outside my comfort zone. Every success became a quiet but undeniable statement. I was unstoppable. Meanwhile, I kept a low profile about the family drama at work. No gossip, no drama, just focused determination. I didn't want my story to be about broken family ties. I wanted it to be about strength, resilience, and integrity. But the real plan was more strategic. I knew my parents and Logan were deeply invested in their social circle and reputation. Their lives revolved around appearances, status dinners, charity events, and community influence. I realized that their fragile image was their weak spot. So, I started gathering evidence not about personal grudges, but about their careless decisions that could impact their standing. I discreetly learned about some questionable financial moves Logan had made under their name, risky investments that could cause serious trouble. It wasn't about revenge. It was about accountability. With my background in finance, I knew how to navigate this world. I quietly documented everything, confirming facts with reliable sources. I worked with a few trusted colleagues and legal advisors to understand how to protect myself while holding them responsible. Then I waited for the right moment. At a high-profile charity gala, where my family was set to make a grand appearance, I quietly arranged for the hosts to review some documents I had compiled. The revelations were subtle, but devastating, exposing reckless financial mismanagement linked to my family's name. The news spread like wildfire among the community. Suddenly, the family who once ignored me found themselves under scrutiny. They scrambled to control the damage, but the facts spoke louder than their words. Logan's careless loans and investments were exposed, his reputation in tatters. My parents were forced to publicly address the issue, embarrassed and vulnerable. Meanwhile, I watched from the sidelines not with glee, but with a quiet sense of justice. I didn't need to confront them directly. Their own actions spoke volumes. The twist, the community that once admired them, began reaching out to me instead, seeking advice and partnership. I was no longer the invisible sibling, I was the one with integrity, strength, and wisdom. And through it all, I maintained my grace. No public accusations, no personal attacks, just the truth and the confidence to let it do the talking. As the dust settled, I felt something I hadn't in a long time: peace. Not because they had fallen, but because I had risen, because I chose myself, because I understood that the most satisfying revenge isn't about hurting others. It's about healing yourself and creating a life they can't ignore. In the months that followed, my life transformed in ways I never imagined. Freed from the weight of my family's rejection, I found myself truly and fully. I built a new circle of love and support around me. Friends who celebrated my wins, my partner who stood unwavering by my side, and colleagues who respected my work and integrity. My career flourished beyond expectations. Leading the Sustainable Investments Division wasn't just a job. It was a mission that gave me purpose and pride. I traveled, laughed, and created memories without the shadow of disappointment looming over me. Meanwhile, the consequences my family faced unfolded naturally. Logan's reckless financial choices cost him dearly, his influence in the community shattered, and the parents I once sought approval from became distant figures in a cautionary tale. One afternoon, I received a brief message from my dad. "I hope you find happiness." It was cold, but honest. I didn't respond, because I realized that happiness isn't something given. It's something we claim for ourselves. I'm no longer the person begging for recognition or approval. I'm the person who commands her own respect. The person who knows that sometimes walking away is the strongest form of love. As I look back, I understand now the $41,000 wasn't lost money. It was the price of freedom, the cost of becoming my own hero. And that is the greatest victory of all. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, please consider liking and subscribing, because sometimes healing begins by knowing you're not alone.